Welcome to Urbane Legends, the podcast about urban legends and how to act in a courteous and refined manner, but much less about that. Here's your hosts, Neil and Chris.
Welcome to this week's episode of Urbane Legends. With me, what's going on, YouTube? My name is Chris Flynn. I'm an entrepreneur, rapper, actor, politician, artist, Grammy Award winner, inventor, spaceman. And with me today is the man with the third largest collection of horse brasses in the Brighton area. It is Mr.
Neil Herbert. And I am that, and you are none of those things, Chris.
I'm all of those things. I'm about to do a reaction video. Damn. So what got you into horse brasses, Neil?
Shiny and proximity to horses.
Lovely.
So magpie, anything shiny, or I can bring to a high shine.
Did you get into them? Did you get into them when you used to go on the rounds with your dad when he was a rag and bone man with the big Shire horse with the brasses down the sides?
Well, my dad was rag and bone man, the rapper.
I'm only human.
He's only human, after all. Even though I think I'm slightly older than him.
More than slightly.
Don't ask, won't tell. Just shared life. Because what you do, like if you were like a proper boy, you get like the sovereign ring.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I've got several.
You know what you want though? If you want proper,
horse brasses.
Yeah, horse brass ring.
Down your leather cut.
Yeah.
My gran,
as far as the eye can see, great tradition.
My gran used to have some
Penny King, just instead of pearls, just horse brasses on the seat.
Lovely. My gran used to have some brass statues or objets d'art on the mantelpiece when I was a kid. It was a mantelpiece, but over one of those electric fires where it has a plastic moulding of wood in the bottom of it, so it looks like a wood fire.
Did it have some kind of like light under some fake plastic coals?
I think the light had gone. I think the light had gone by the time I was around.
Yeah, about 30 years back.
But yeah, that used to be quite popular, didn't it? Brass statuettes. I've actually got one which I kept after passing, which is of the three wise monkeys: hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. Mm-hmm. So I was having to think about this morning when I was in bed, because I've got literally nothing better to do with my time. So where are what's the deal with the three wise monkeys, right? Because it's evil, it's something about evil, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I would say speak no evil is a good bit of advice. Don't speak no evil, right? But you can't really stop yourself seeing or hearing it because those of your sight and sounds are receptive senses, whereas speaking is obviously a projected thing. So
I believe it's more of a sort of metaphorical thing where it's more don't think evil of other people. So don't look out for evil. Don't look out for,
Don't look out for it. Well, shouldn't you look out for it to stop it?
Well, yeah, I suppose what they're trying to say is that kind of like don't look for an opportunity to get involved in evil.
Where does it come from? I'm going to have to look this up.
I do not know. Yeah, I've always thought it's one of those things.
It's not from the Bible, is it?
Who knows? I don't know. Bible or Shakespeare.
Oh, it's Buddhist.
Oh, there you go.
Three wise monkeys are a Japanese pictorial maxim embodying the proverbial principle, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. The monkeys are Mizaru, who sees no evil, covering his eyes, Kikazaru, who hears no evil, and Iwazaru, who speaks no evil. So there are various meaning. A phrase often used to refer to those who deal with impropriety by turning a blind eye.
Yeah, so they can go both. I mean, Yeah, I don't know, because you wouldn't, certainly in propriety, you wouldn't want to be telling a blind guy. You want to be sort of like calling the old bill or something, or getting involved. So,
or the
I'm not
Yakuza.
Sure. They're just working class lads trying to make good. The only opportunities left to them.
Exactly. They're a bit rough around the edges, but look after old mums.
I think it's become popular these days. Facial tattoos. Walking out the other day, there was some chap having a pint. Had quite a face full of tattoos. Okay. Fair play to you, lad.
Fair play to your dog.
One of them was like a heart as well. So it's one of those ones where I would quite like to take a photo or something and just examine that at my leisure. But you don't really want to stare too much. But nice.
Well, the thing is, you can't.
Upwards of 6, I think.
You can't complain about people. It's like that character from Titty Titty Bang Bang, oh, don't look at me, I'm shy. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like that, isn't it? Like people going, oh, what are you looking at? And they've just got a face covered in drawings.
I mean, I will admit, and it's rude to stare, but if you decided to permanently etch some writing on your forehead, I'm intrigued to see what that is. And I know it's probably going to be something mediocre. But
yeah, right.
I want to know
Coldplay.
I want to know what that poor woman who had Drake tattooed on her forehead. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, really? You're going to regret that.
Muse written across your cheek.
I mean, you might love them, and that's great. Good luck to you, but you're not going to feel this way when you're 50. But
who were the Northern Irish ones? Or the Irish ones? Snow Patrol on your neck.
I didn't realise they were from Northern Ireland.
So that's that then. So horse brasses, marks out of 10?
Oh, 10 out of 10, clearly.
10 out of 10.
In fact, if I was going to get a facial tattoos and writing on it, it'd be like horse brasses, fucking ace.
I might get horse brasses tattooed down my cheeks
rather than I'd just have
rather than
that'd be the writing, the advertising on my forehead. Just a people knew where I stood on the subject, and they would just be my favourite horse brasses. And there's quite a bit of face, as you can see, Chris. So there'd be quite a bit of room to.
That's all right.
So, I've seen a dozen.
I've seen your collection though, but and it's more than a dozen, isn't it?
You could. I have a hard time narrowing it down to 12.
You have to keep them in a lockup, don't you, under the arches?
Yeah, and the viaducts in Brighton. I've got a couple of other discreet locations, but I won't be revealing them.
No, you keep them buried, don't you?
Yeah, and obviously I keep some in the house
to impress the ladies.
Yeah. You see the show.
Well, darling, do you want to come back and see me horse brasses? I'll let you give them a polish if you like. I've got some brass all under the sink. Don't sniff it though. I went down that road and it was slippery. Right, so Neil, would you like to hear some strange etiquette? Because I think we've pretty much covered all current etiquette.
Exhausted the well of normal etiquette, yeah.
So
I'm looking common sense, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Or lunacy, depending on... I mean,
Don't be evil.
Most of it's obvious common sense, and then some of it's just like ridiculous. Sneezing into your elbow, for example.
Yeah, or grape scissors.
Yeah, just blind for a tissue.
So, here's one from 1890. Women should only give handmade gifts. The Victorian rules around courting were especially bizarre, but none more than the era's gift etiquette between a couple. A woman could only give a man a gift if he gives the one first. And even then, the woman should only reciprocate with an inexpensive or handmade gift. I would say that handmade gifts are the most expensive, time-wise.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's because presumably she wouldn't have had any money, because if she had had her own money, probably a prostitute. So you have to burn her at stake or whatever did Victorian times.
Yeah, maybe, or or the man didn't want her cutting into his dowry, something like that. So here's another one, which is quite weird, from 1890. Never ask a direct question. Victorians found it incredibly rude to ask a direct question. Instead of asking someone, "How are you doing?" a polite person would reword the question to something along the lines of, "I hope you're doing well." I'd say that that's something which, unfortunately, still has its claws in our society slightly. We're not a very direct people.
I think, to an extent, that's quite a good role. But I tell you what,
who are you? What is your name?
Yeah, because I think there's something good in that, and sort of like not just I just want to get something out of you, so just ask it as directly as possible. I mean, you don't want to waste people's time, but I think it's nice to have a bit of a conversation first, be a bit polite. So I think an indirect thing is good. But I will say, it's going to have made, that's why Victorian police were so incompetent.
I can never ask a direct question.
There are direct questions. It didn't happen to be around Whitechapel.
It wasn't until Columbo was popularised in the 70s in the UK where he'd go, one more question, that we actually, the case solving in once the UK took that on went through the roof, didn't it? Now they solve upwards of 40% of murder cases.
Before that, it was just, let's just, arrest the nearest Irishman. So that wasn't very much. I mean, it did close a lot of cases, but I think that the justice wasn't done in the vast majority.
And here's one more, because these are quite quick. We're blasting through these. From the 20s, keep on ignoring that baby. Well into the 1920s, parenting experts like John Watson told parents never to hug or kiss their child and leave them in their crib as much as possible if they didn't want them to be spoiled. This was meant to build strong character in the child, Watson wrote in Psychological Care of the Infant and Child.
I think, if anything, he's being too soft. I think you should ignore him until they're 25.
Crib Woods, more like.
When they're able to pay their own way, then you should acknowledge them, just like a mild nod of the head. And not bad.
When they put some money into the chicken that's in the middle of the table, like in bread,
then they're a human being.
Yeah. Up until then, they're just a
disappointment with the potential to not disappoint. Whether they can feel that potential or not is up to them. You're going to get more productive members of society. They are going to have increasing, issues, but
psychological issues.
They're going to be earning. So, bread. That's something I haven't seen in years.
Yeah, it was one of those fantastic 1980s pro comedies that didn't have any jokes.
We enjoyed those in the 80s.
Yeah, lovely.
That and Birds of a Feather, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, didn't have any jokes.
You just had a concept.
Last of Summer Wine.
Last of Summer Wine, yeah.
Plenty of them.
Three old men get up to antics.
Hey.
That was the Roy Clark school of sitcoms, which is just basically you write one episode and then just repeat it for the next 20-odd years. So how long can I get away with telling the same jokes over and over again?
Yeah,
also seen in, what was it called? Hyacinth Bouquet. What was that one? You have appearances. That's the one. Yeah. Oh, she's going to fall in the bush again. 15 minutes in.
Yeah. Oh, and Onslow will go. Oh, nice.
And given that's for sort of lazy hacks, I think we should try and use that for this podcast, Chris. So we're going to have to come up with some catchphrases. I could do with a good few crutches to lean on. I mean,
the soil is fertile.
Okay, so our first struggle is going to be.
This is fertile. This is fertile soil. Yeah. I mean, and I don't mind. I'm quite happy to stop it, but to amuse myself, I stole the Nicky Campbell Crime Watch catchphrase of "Don't have nightmares," just because I thought that was a really odd.
Well, it's a capper, isn't it? It's not really a catchphrase.
Chippy, but it's like a kind of chippy, like, don't have nightmares. Like at the end where it's like, 2 children were found murdered and we need someone to...
Yeah, it depends very much on your episode of Crime Watch. Yeah, it's kind of like not always the thing you want to end up on, really. Well, I don't know.
Don't have nightmares. No, but it's kind of like, it's weird. It just always struck me as a weird kind of catchphrase for that. So that's why I'm using
Crime
it.
Watch,
but I can get
catchphrases. The other thing I took against Crime Watch is that about 30% of the photo fits I always felt resembled me more than was comfortable. So,
well, I mean that's because you did more than 30% of the crimes. So you were quite lucky.
Allegedly.
One of
those places. Criminal class.
What one of those? You just got one of those psyches that commits all the crimes.
I mean, look at these calipers. Look at that frontal lobe.
Or are you going?
So I'm taking the phrenology chart again.
Go back to phrenology.
Yeah.
Do we need to trepan you? get some of the criminal out.
I'll get the saws and drills out.
Good stuff.
No anesthetic.
So Neil, are you with me, Neil?
Sorry, no, I was just thinking about trepanning.
Neil, you're driving this. Fucking hell!
All right, go on.
You're right, Mr. Button. I'm trying to get this moving.
Here we go.
No, you had enough yet? Or are you going to talk over me again? Yeah, good. You're going to fucking do it, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so this episode.
What's
Neil,
it about, Chris? Tell us. What's it about? Or am I telling us? Yeah,
go on,
okay,
carry on. You know what? You want to be Billy Big Bollocks and drive the episode? You're more than welcome. So I'll just sit here and make pithy comments over the top of you.
Let's do that then.
Yeah, do it then. Yeah. So
Chris, this week we're going to talk about the Cornish.
No, we're going to talk about Neil
or the Owlman of Morning.
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
Did you not? Would you like me to repeat it?
Can if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So this week we're going to be talking about the Cornish Owlman or the Owlman of Morning. Right. Okay, doke. So this is well, you're gonna guess the location. Obviously, it's the Cornish Owlman, but this is an
Devon.
Was that
Devon?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they've named him the Cornish Owlman, because he's mostly just hovering around. I'm trying to think of any villages in Devon. I can't.
The thing, so what I noticed, because I was looking for a good British mystery earlier, and they very much seem to come, or the vast majority.
It's down the southwest, isn't it? A lot.
Southwest and East Anglia. So the least populated area. Well, I wouldn't say that, because like Yorkshire moors and stuff are very unpopulated, and the Highlands and stuff. So I don't know what it is about East Anglia and. I mean, the Southwest has always been sort of the hub of vortexes in the UK, hasn't it? And it was its own kingdom prior to, back in the Dark Ages.
You've got your
and it was like all the Druids and that.
Celtic kind of culture down there. So that's as the Angles and Saxons moved over England, they kind of like, Celts went into Wales and into Cornwall, didn't they? They speak their own sort of language and all the rest of it. Sort of the Cornish is a bit distinct from British, etc. So there's a bit of a different culture there. I don't know if they've got to have their own bit, but yeah, no, there is. I mean, as you say, it seems to be centred around certain areas. And
I know that East Anglia back in Roman times, and because it's very low lying, it was very uninhabited, and a lot of it was kind of misty marshlands and that kind of stuff. So you wonder if maybe it was kind of because it's all, it all got drained and made into farmland, but originally it was quite why can't I say that? Inhospitable. That's it. Sorry, had a little brain freeze there. Yeah, it was like that, and so you wonder if that's it. And there's lots of kind of legends around that area. So I guess it's kind of these mysterious areas where people struggle to get in. They weren't really connected to the rest of the country.
I think it's the Cornish trying to keep all of the second homeowners out. It's a desperate struggle to get rid of a bunch of down from Londoners from invading. I think we need to start coming up with our own urban myths in Brighton to try and assuage that.
Won't happen, will it?
It's too late now, isn't it?
Yeah, can't persuade them. They're never leaving, and it's it's only an hour on the train.
Although I've heard in Cornwall it's terrible as well, the way some of the locals get treated. I was wondering that, a lot of them still, the people come down and buy some picturesque sort of cottage in a fishing village, and then going out and like vandalising boats and stuff. So I'd be making up Owlman as well. Yeah, no, apparently this is the thing. There's I can't remember where the village was, but there was been a spate.
Are you sure about this?
I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. But there was a spate of attacks, and they reckon it must be. Because why would the locals do it? But there was a spate of attacks on people's boats down in this fishing village in Cornwall.
Well, that sounds like there's no evidence there at all. Like, I mean, it could just be a disgruntled Cornish teenager, couldn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean,
they do have teenagers. I mean, you say kind of, that's the whole why shit in your back garden thing, but humans are incredibly well known for doing that constantly. Why would you, if you live on a housing estate, why would you, smash all the swings in and graffiti everywhere? Because that just makes the place where you live worse. But people do it.
I'll have to go back and look up the details. But yeah,
that just sounds like more Cornish separatism to me.
Obviously, you've taken against the fine. Well, I'm pro Cornish here. Good tin miners, good people, good pasties.
I'm on the fence. I think this sounds like a Cornish false flag operation.
Do you? Is it sponsored by Big Ginster?
by the Cornish Liberation Party. They do want to.
That's what they're selling the rest of us, all of those, not particularly authentic pasties to fund this kind of disinformation campaign.
That's it. The money gets funneled in. Yeah. Then you get the Cornish biker gangs over in America who send all the guns and stuff over.
Funded by pasties and tin. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They send pasties and tin over to America. They sell the pasties out to London and train stations, and then that money gets funneled over the Atlantic.
That mining expertise, they're probably burrowing under our houses, releasing our bees into the basement, drain our saliva as we sleep.
Do you know what they say that if you live in London, you're never 6 foot away from a Cornish tin miner.
Yeah.
Because they're digging underneath to destroy all the Victorian sewage network. That's what I've heard.
Well, if that's what you've heard. If a friend of a friend said it, then or heard it, then it, as we know, it must be true.
Yeah, I heard it from someone in a squat once. So, yeah, I believe it is true.
Evidence.
Yeah. So, question marks over the Cornish integrity. That's where I'm starting off. You're very pro Cornish independence.
I'm pro. Well, not necessarily independence, but I'm pro the fine people of Cornwall and their cream teas and pasties.
All right. Well,
and attractive scenic locations.
Well, let's just say, Neil. I'm more nuanced than you, and I'm not going to patronise them with the. I think there's more to Cornwall than cottages and green teas.
I'm not saying there's not good and bad in Cornwall. I'm just anyway. Look, we're not here to focus on the spot. But I'm going to be sharing.
You paint yourself into a corner.
I'm going to be sharing information from Cornwall Live, which obviously to you is like some propaganda unit.
It's like Breitbart.
Yeah. It's like was it GB News, that new channel they've just come up with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funded by Cornish. Cornish funding behind that.
I think Cornish should be more left wing. Anyway,
black hat actors.
I'm going to start getting me to believe in the Owlman now.
Yeah, let's hear about this Owlman.
Become native, right? Get really angry about the order in which you put jam and cream on your scone.
Right, come on.
Right,
kind of pull it together. You're meant to be driving this episode.
Well,
not as easy as it looks, is it?
That's pretty easy.
Once the hot studio lights are on you.
So, Cornwall Live. Okay. So, a remote church in Cornwall said to be the home of a half-man, half-owl creature, which has been terrifying locals and holidaymakers since the 1920s. So, St Mornan and St Stephen's Church, located about a mile from the village centre of Mornan Smith, it's a peaceful church surrounded by woods and boasting a breathtaking sea view. But according to Cornish folklore, it's been haunted by a human-sized owl with large wings, long claws, and glowing eyes for a century.
I've got to be honest with you. I thought this was going to be more than 100 years old.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? It'd have a bit more of a rich history. But and to be honest with you, I'm not sure it even really does go back to the 20s, but we'll get into that. I think that's some retroactive. I think that is a bit of
retrofitting.
Yeah, they've adjusted it to give it a bit more prosperity behind it, but a bit more of an antecedent. So the beast is known as the Owlman of Mornan Smith.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. The first sighting of the Owlman was only reported in April 1976.
Right.
So if it's been terrifying locals and holidaymakers since the 20s...
Did it say the first sighting or the first reported sighting?
The first sighting of the Owlman was only reported. So it was the first reported sighting.
Right, there you go then. You know, they keep it in-house, don't they?
Yeah, we'll deal with this. Look, our Owlman, our rules.
Our justice.
Yeah. Cornish justice for Cornish Owlman.
Look, to be honest with you...
It's not a grockle.
To be honest with you, he's one of us. Yeah. He keeps the mice population down, and no one goes to that church anyway because we're all doing druid rituals. So, you know, he's fine.
And I'll be honest with you,
I bet it was
Owlman's the least of our worries down there.
I bet it was. Yeah.
See the other monsters knocking about.
I bet it wasn't a local who reported it as well.
Well,
sticking their nose in.
It wasn't. No, it's two teenage girls that were on holidays with their parents.
Oh, here we go.
Smith. They walked down to the old remote church. It's more than a mile from the village centre, so you know. But you're in the middle of little deepest, darkest Cornwall, so you've got to make your fun where you can.
Go to a church.
And on top of the church tower, they saw what they described as a terrifying birdman with wings and feathers. Story says they were so scared by the sighting that their father decided to put an end to their holidays and leave Cornwall immediately. And he was going to buy a second home down there, but he cut that off.
It sounds like they came back from the churchyard pissed, and he went, right, we're going home.
Which in the 70s, they thought that, yeah, I mean, would you have the same level of teenage drinking in those days? Maybe.
Yeah. It's not a new phenomenon.
You wouldn't have had it in like the 50s and 60s.
Well, yes, you would.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, in cities you do. In inner cities.
In July the same year, two 14-year-old girls decided to go camping in the area, but spotted a giant owl of human size with glowing eyes.
Is it always teenage girls?
We'll come on to that. So, at the time, all eyes turned to the village, and the discovery made the national headlines, naming the beast the Owlman of Morn and Smith. Now, here's the thing. The Owlman was quickly branded a hoax when people realised that all reports led back to one man, magician and paranormal researcher Tony Doc Shells.
Doc Shells?
Yeah. Doc in quotes.
Oh,
Doc was his nickname, I guess, like the little kid from The Shining.
Yeah.
Or that Bugs Bunny cartoon. Oh, Bugs Bunny. Be the Bugs Bunny cartoon, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know why I called myself Doc. I don't know if it was like a Gideon McKee.
No, that's kind of
had a pretension towards having an academic qualification he didn't have. But
yeah, but Doc, DOC, that's like that's an Americanism, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like yeah. Well, is it just from Bugs Bunny, or is that just like a more general kind of thing? I don't know.
No, well, Doc, like it would be like snake oil salesmen and stuff would have called themselves like William Duck Johnson or something like that. It's like a little moniker, isn't it?
Yeah. So there you go. What did he call himself? Tony Magic Shields. That would have been good. It's up to him, I guess.
I don't agree with the decisions, but at the end of the day, I'll die fighting. I'll die fighting for his right to make them.
However he wants to live his life. Who am I to say that's wrong?
Scary teenage girls and that.
Yeah, I mean, so he was involved behind all of these sightings. So quite what he was doing, hanging around with 14-year-olds, asking about Owlman, I don't know, but we'll come back to Doc.
He's a local character.
Well, no, I don't think he was Cornish either. Actually, I mean, he's quite interesting. He's moved off to Ireland now. He's still knocking about. He's an artist, a magician, paranormal researcher, and hoaxer, and all round colourful character.
Sounds like kindred spirit.
Yeah, I think we should try and sort of get hold of him because he also allegedly saw the Loch Ness monster and he took a picture of it, which I think they published in the Daily Mirror. I haven't been able to track it down, but I don't know if it's that famous one. I think that one predates the 70s. Not.
Yeah,
I think that was like in the 30s or 40s or something. But there was one I know that I think some people actually admitted to sort of making it. It came out a few years back. There's quite a famous one, but they admitted they'd sort of made it out of like basically a fairy liquid bottle and a bit of paper mache.
We just chucked a Hoover in.
That is necessary. So he'd lived in St Ives for years before moving to Ponsonooth, and he's now left Cornwall for Ireland. Oh, okay, so St Ives, so he was local. Yeah.
Sounds like he's on the run.
Well, who knows?
Well, St Ives is a very famous artist enclave, isn't it? Because apparently the light there is very good.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he was an artist. But I don't know if he.
Well, there was the whole St Ives school, wasn't there? There was all the artists back in the 40s that lived in St Ives, and it was a big artist place, and they kind of had their own group of artists that did landscapes and stuff over there because of the quality of the light.
Yes, you can't get anywhere else. So people have dismissed the claims of there being an Owlman horse in the church's yard and its nearby woods, explaining teenagers have probably seen a very big owl if they saw anything at all. Since then, several sightings of the creature have been reported on the internet, however. So it's all centred around this one church. So, you know, our Owlman, he's got a preference.
You going to go there?
It seems like when the old pandemic calms down a bit more, it's my next holiday.
That'll be on the tour.
Be my staycation. Yeah, exactly. That, Cannock Chase. Drawing up a little bit of a list. Obviously, you know, eventually want to take this international, get to Latte and all of that. But for now, we'll Cornwall and Cannock Chase definitely on the list.
Well, we want to see Robert the Doll, don't we? Obviously.
Oh yeah, we've got to see Robert the Doll, and no curses.
Ugh.
Remember, asking for permission.
What's the point in anything? I didn't ask you.
Yeah. Robert will sort that out for you. So it's quite a nice, picturesque, if slightly decrepit church. So last year, a ghost hunter from Falmouth claimed that he'd spotted the Owlman and his friend got attacked by it. And I've got some video here, Chris. So Mark Davis was in the graveyard with his friend Chris Power, 36 from Manchester. Mark said, there's ley lines which are under the ground near the church, and they give off paranormal activity. There you go, our old friend, the ley lines. There was a hissing in the trees, and you could hear flapping. I heard it go right over my head, and I was shocked. That's when I saw the figure, and it had horns on its head. It was mad. Mad for it.
Well, the horns could be its ears, couldn't it?
Well,
owls have those little fluffy
I'm going to show
ears.
you the...
Is it just a funny
we've got
one?
Some video. No, it's allegedly serious. And he had a meter.
Yeah, but do you remember when we saw the video of the pig man and it was just someone trying to be funny?
Yes.
Is it like that?
Well, not ostensibly not. They may well be a couple of piss takers from Manchester. I don't know. But from the, I'll admit, really cursory scan I had looked through it, they were obviously taking the piss. So I'll show you the relevant bits in a second. We'll see. Maybe we can share a bit of that, and we can share the video with people.
What's the video?
We'll come to it in a second.
What's the video called?
Cool, you get.
What's it called so that people can look at it if they want?
We'll come to that in a second. We just want to finish off some of the quotes here because I don't think they actually mention this on the video that they shared. So because this is something I love. So on the meter I had, which picks up electric magnetic energy that we use to detect ghosts. So they've got their own PKE meter, which is glorious. I was getting conscious replies to my questions through it. So they've been down Matlin's before it got closed down and bought themselves some kind of, I don't know, some energy meter.
Well, they've basically bought them a stud finder.
Yeah, probably. or possibly invented it themselves, I don't know. But they use it to detect ghosts. Apparently have got electric magnetic energy. But you can also use it as some sort of communication device or some sort of paranormal because they're getting conscious replies to their questions through it, so that's good. And anyway, but it was telling them that there was demonic energy and it wasn't safe. My mate got attacked. He had scratches on his arm. His camera broke too. He didn't see anything. He just felt this surge of energy. Didn't realise until about half an hour later when he felt some burning. It's not a place I would advise anyone to go there alone. Let's put it that way.
Right, but you weren't alone. Maybe that's so that he's saying
that's what he's saying. That's why he has to make
otherwise.
this backup. Because I tell you what, that guy's he's got some injuries, but it could have been a lot worse if he hadn't had to spend backing up his play.
He could be a pellet by now, couldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He could be a series of tiny pellets smattering the church, mouldering. I mean, and this is that you've got to say this to people: if you're going to go out and investigate these things, always bring backup. Don't go investigating these things by yourself. Ideally, be prepared, be a professional. Make sure you've got your own PKE meter so you can look out for ghosts and ley lines and other phenomena.
Take a stud finder, a thermometer,
Camera,
so you can see if there's any.
You've got to get this on YouTube.
Camera, GoPro, ideally, and take a baseball bat with some nails sticking through it. Yeah, what do they call it? A barman's comb, I think they call it in Glasgow.
Just let the local Cornish publican know how you've prepared, and then they'll appreciate that. They'll admire you for your moxie. Yeah, I'm just going to go down the church with all of this equipment and this baseball bat with nails in it. They'll respond really well to that. So make sure you do that.
And if you're like me, always keep a flick knife in your shoe.
Well, you just do that because it looks cool. Well, you actually want two, one in each back pocket. One's a flick knife, one's a flick comb.
One's a comb, yeah. Well, as you know...
You can style your greaser haircut that we both...
For many years, I've been trying to, and being rejected by, get into the local gang of teddy boys. Yeah. So...
I got tired of being a mod. Too many mirrors on my moped, if anything.
Yeah. No, I've just been trying to get... Because I really love rockabilly.
Got a bit more of a rough edge, and you can get into psychobilly then as well, so that's good.
Yeah, and I can keep cigarettes in my sleeve. Yeah. It's a big plus sign for me. Although cigarettes are very expensive now, so I doubt many teddy boys can afford them.
Spending so much money on mohair suits, which frankly are too pricey these days.
Too hot as well. Too hot. I mean, it's a less the teddy boy look. You've got different looks, haven't you? You can wear.
Go with a linen suit. It's fine.
Go with a linen suit, or you can just go with a tight white t-shirt.
Yeah. Blue jeans.
Cigarettes, pair of blue jeans, and some brothel creepers, flick knife, flick comb, and brill cream.
I hope those shoes have got a high shine on them, Chris.
They have, and they've got steel toe caps in for when things get a bit tasty.
Some people might need a kick in, mightn't they? Could be an Owlman. Maybe not. Don't know. We'll see.
Probably is an Owlman.
Right, so I'm gonna.
We're all going down on our 125s, 125 hardtail bobbers to go and kick in the Owlman.
I'm gonna share this with you, Chris, and we can sort of post it up, I guess, on Acast or something. But
I'm not doing that. Just tell them the name now if people are interested.
Let me share the screen. You disabled it.
I haven't disabled anything.
It's not what Zoom's telling me.
Multiple part. There we go. I hadn't disabled it. I hadn't enabled it though. The different things.
Look, if you want to dispute Zoom's terminology, you're welcome to. I don't care.
Well, one sounds like an act of aggression by me.
Yeah. Here you go. So I believe this cheeky little fella. So I believe this is what we're calling horns, as you say. Could be owl ears.
Yeah. Well, they're quite long, aren't they?
Are.
It's very blurred.
I mean, if you're expecting a high resolution.
I mean, this looks like it could be from a colonoscopy.
There you go. Look, see, there you can see it's a bit more. They've tried to outline it a bit more for you there by making it a different colour. Vaguely humanoid figure with. I mean, it
looks like the tick.
It could be low key, to be honest with you. It could be a lot of different things.
Yeah,
you know. But hey,
is that
something spooky in a graveyard? Well, no, just wait for it. So that's us sighting of the Owlman.
Mm.
But
I'm keeping my powder dry on that.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
There's his PKE meter. Look, it's going mental. Absolutely mental. There's some real
creature in these grounds, in the trees. Is it true? Is the story true? Is there something with wings?
Yeah. So I don't think that people will be able to hear this.
No, they won't. But here's our last part.
Yeah.
Look.
A bit there. Oh, hang on.
No, he's had a bruising from something, and those look Owlman scratches to me.
Are they, or is that just makeup?
Ghost hunting.
No, that
can be a dangerous.
No way to tell, is there?
That looks real to me. I'll give him this.
Here's the injuries to Chris.
Yep.
He's just fallen over.
Could be a makeup job. Could be.
Yeah, difficult to tell, isn't it?
I mean, you can never be sure, can you? Any of these things can be made up.
Absolutely.
But that's.
So there's some. There's
But
some.
there is some, but there is some video evidence. You
there's
take it for
something
what you
there.
want. So this is on a site called Newsflare, and I'm just going to shout out. So you'll want to search for. I caught the infamous Cornwall Owlman on video. It's. I'll give a shout out to the user. I don't know if he's pronounced. It's Mark. I think it's been uploading videos since 2019. When he put this up on 22nd of August 2019.
Well, that's quite low res considering 2019.
Yeah, I mean it was dark, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was quite jumpy as well.
Well, he's scared. He's sharing a churchyard with an owlman.
No, when I say jumpy, I mean 4 frames a second.
720p.
Rather than. Well, I mean,
So anyway.
Well, I mean, what I would say is have a look, but keep your expectations in check.
But hey, there is some video evidence there. You may not find it compelling evidence, but nonetheless,
But
there's
there's
to weigh
something.
all of these things up.
There is something.
And what they've had to do. So what they've done there really is the reason the images I showed you were quite grainy and kind of skippy. What they've done there is slowed down and enhanced the picture. I believe they used the Blade Runner video technology to do that. Because it was very much in the background. He was just sort of talking. It was only after he'd kind of gone back to analyse the footage, it would seem, that they noticed
that
the Owlman was there. I presume this was after his mate got mullered by the Owlman.
Yeah, and his mate said that he didn't see anything.
No.
He just felt
How
himself.
can they be sure it is an Owlman? We don't know, but
No, could have been
But
goals.
if you're going to look for the Owlman, that's where you go, to that particular churchyard. So
Well, I'm up to going down there at some point.
There,
It's
took
nice.
some camcorders, and one of them got attacked. And he's got some footage. Judge it how you will.
Okay. So, is that all we have on the Owlman, or is there any more stuff?
So I think that's largely it. I'm gonna I think you've basically got those 2 sightings in the 70s. I'm not really seeing
By the Irish, by the magician.
Yeah, we'll come back to a little bit. Oh, actually, no, sorry. There's a bit more here on the Cornwall Live site. So we'll just have a look. So the spooky tale. So they basically they referenced that video. So that was the sort of, you got those 2 stories in the 70s. There's that video that came up. So clearly the creepy tale has kind of come out here. But yeah, in Cornwall, a bit like with the hairy hands in Devon, the spooky tale of the Owlman seems to have long been forgotten in Morn and Smith. Now, although many Cornish people still remember the story, they've done some research for us, Cornwall Live. They've got some people down on the ground, which is good. And so to drive down to the small village to find out more, and they hadn't heard its name for many, many years.
Many moons.
But the place is still quite spooky. A gate leading to the churchyard shows a dramatic-looking inscription, actually in Cornish. Dathimi Nessi Thedu, the porch reads. I'm going to assume it's how you pronounce that. It's good to draw nigh to the Lord. I mean, that's the sort of thing you put on a church, to be fair. And if you look then at the church door, there's a series of what they call worrying hand marks on the back door of the church.
Ooh.
Could these be terrified people scraping on the door while the Owlman attacks them? Probably not, but...
Do we know how old the church is?
It's a 13th century church. So, yeah, nearly 800 years old.
Yeah, so it could just be people were
800
people were in there when other people came to attack. Like people used to hide in churches if people were invading or whatever.
I don't think those would have lasted that long. So these are just literally, it's just there's some dirt on the door.
It's not like
this is
scratches
abandoned
and stuff.
No. This is just literally
Handprints.
It's just like fingers sort of like crawling down on the door. You can see this at Cornwall Live. If you look up, they've interpreted that as finger things. It could have been kids playing on the door, just making some noises. Very much. I don't know if you ever used to do this, Chris. You're bored on the bus on the way to school, breathe on the window when it's cold, and then play noughts and crosses. That kept us amused for a while.
Of course, we didn't have mobile phones back then, so simpler times.
Yeah. Couldn't play Snake.
the most up to date. Okay.
There's a reference that's still 20 years out of date as well, but yeah. Okay, so they've gone down and they've done some investigation themselves, and they're going to be going out and speaking to the local population as well. And this is intriguing, Chris, and this is where it points to, there's some real signs of something going on.
There ain't no Owlman here, and there never was. Bang.
Yeah, it's like that guy. You shouldn't come round here. Not for the looks of you. Gosh, impression.
That was pretty good.
like in every horror movie where there's the terrifying person on the road who tells you to get out and not come back.
You are to turn on your heels and get out of there.
You're likely to get killed with Louise.
You'll end up as pellets.
Yeah, you don't know what Owlman will do. He's not like one of your saliva drinking fellas that just makes you a bit dehydrated.
He's not like one of your big city rooster reptiles that drinks saliva. He'll eat you and scratch you up.
Now, there are no signs anywhere in the village or at the church mentioning the Owlman. Isn't that suspicious, Chris?
It sounds.
Because Cornish legends, including the Beast of Bodmin, are quite popular. They decided to ask a local who was living at the village at the time while the tale sank into oblivion. She said, "I haven't heard it mentioned for years and years, since it first happened, actually. It was a media event at the time. People were scared to go to the church afterwards. The Owlman looked quite menacing from the pictures and drawings made by the girls involved. I don't want to see him, thank you very much." White lady.
If you please.
The spooky woods behind the church are said to be another place where the Owlman was spotted in the past. And she explained that the reason why the Owlman is not a popular story in the village is because the population has changed a lot since the original reports. There you go.
There we go. Fucking broccles.
The older people have passed away or left, and we've had a lot of newcomers in the village. You wouldn't know about it. Don't even know about a fucking Owlman.
You would have thought that would be something the estate agents would tell you. That should... Isn't that something that you should legally disclose? During when you're exchanging contracts.
There's a lot of history going on up in there. There are more things that going on than what meets the eye. A member of my family heard spooky noises from a tree, although there was no wind. Yeah, imagine that. So these ley lines, there's a lot of shit going on. And here's the capper. My husband and I also saw a very strange robin flying straight into a grave. Not quite a terrifying.
Into the gravestone, like as in it hit it, or it went down into the grave.
Well, I don't know if they just dig up graves and wait. I presume
put a load of birds in the bottom.
If an ill-advised non-local ends up messing with an Owlman, you don't want to have to dig up on fresh, do you? So you probably just keep it open there. And strange robins could fly in is one problem that you got there. But I don't quite know why she mentioned robins, that, to be honest with you. And what was strange about this robin? She doesn't say.
Robins are they're believed in folklore, and I don't know if it's in this country or just in general folklore, to be reincarnated people. Robins are.
Yeah, well, they're kind of like just cute.
Yeah, I like robins. Yeah,
it's very much synonymous with Christmas cards and things in this country, aren't they? Robin Redbreast.
Well, my gran always said that she wanted to come back as a robin, what with being a good Catholic. What with being a lapsed Catholic, and she wanted to come back as a robin, and at most, and it could just be confirmation bias, but at most kind of big events, family events, there has been a robin turn up, even though it's out of season or whatever, and that is just confirmation bias, but it's quite nice anyway. Hey, that's how these things start.
Again, not to criticise her life choices or post-life choices, but I'm not sure I'd want to come back as a robin.
Yeah.
Knocking about, eating worms. I don't know. But then I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Don't knock it till you try it.
Rich source of natural protein, don't knock it till you
try it. But I don't think robins eat worms, do they? Or do they? I don't know.
So they're not. I don't know.
They from bird feeders, don't they?
But, they still become lazy these days, haven't they? Modern, millennial robins?
Fucking snowflake starlings.
Wouldn't even know how to hunt an earthworm. Just subsidised by.
Bring back National Service for songbirds. That's what I say. So,
Owlman knows how to hunt.
yeah. Well,
backing up some Mancunians once every.
Well, he was at the Falklands, wasn't he?
terrifying young ladies.
He was our secret weapon in the Falklands.
So Matt, so this is the thing, isn't it? So suspiciously, there's no real sign of the Owlman anywhere around, and that makes me think cover up, Chris.
Yeah, I think that maybe they.
What are all these people doing, moving into the village, what are they trying to hide? The fact that there's no evidence of an Owlman apart from that video just makes me think they're covering up the evidence of the Owlman. Why would
I
they
agree.
do that?
I think it could be like, you used to have those secret religions in ancient Rome, like which weren't Christian. I can't remember what they're called, like where they worshipped like a bull.
Well, ancient Rome, I mean, it would have just been the
No, but I mean, when
Roman
Christianity
gods,
came in, they kind of continued underground, like the Order of Bacchus or something. Not Bacchus, because he's the god of wine, but that kind of thing.
I mean, to be honest with you, that would be the one I'd go for, the Order of Bacchus.
The thing you style yourself on in your toga. Maybe it's that. Maybe these people are. Owlman, of course, there's the famous ritual which that American secret society do in front of the big owl in
cremating of the care in front of the owl and the I forget what it's called. It's not Ashburton Grove.
Might as well be. Is it Bohemian Grove?
Well, that was all made up. Bohemian Grove, that was it.
Where a 40-foot owl, they worship that. So I'm wondering if maybe it's could it be connected?
Well, maybe when the Plymouth and the old pilgrims went across, there were a few owl worshippers
who rose to prominence.
Speaking Cornish, got rich off the backs of the tin
Took a
mines.
load of tin, because they were the biggest tin mines in the world, weren't they? Yeah,
Founded the Illuminati by way of Bavaria.
But they scattered across the globe.
Scattered across the globe, and and every president ever since has been, or every president from George Washington was a secret.
They were indoctrinated into it.
All worshipping the Owlman, and that's what they're trying to cover up. US Secret Service don't want non-Cornish people not in on the secret to know about the fact that the Cornish Illuminati control the entire world.
I think there we go. You've tied it all up nicely.
And I'll be honest with you, if this is the last podcast you ever hear from us, then if you've got the bravery, do investigate.
One of two things has happened. Either the Cornish Illuminati have caught up with us finally, or I've fallen off the wagon again. One of those two things, guys. Either way, never stop asking questions.
Again, it's we can only put the evidence in front of you. It's up for you to decide. You've got to,
hooting on.
What you don't want to be doing, the last thing you want to do is to believe in research by qualified people,
Don't do that.
Scientists, qualified researchers.
No one's researching the connection between the owl statue at Bohemian Grove and the owl, the demigod that is living in Cornwall right now, moving his own people in. Yeah. Boulders Brass moving his own people in to the village nearby.
People won't talk about it, and they're terrified.
People won't talk about it. Have they been brainwashed? Could well be.
Probably.
The older generation who dared speak out are all died of natural causes.
You say something, all of a sudden there's a robin flying into a grave, as if to say, you keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you. It starts with a robin flying into a grave. That's not where it fucking ends.
This is shot across your a very.
Robin's going to be flying somewhere else if you're not careful.
This is an incredibly cryptic shot across your bow. Think on.
You want to come down here with cameras? You might see a very poorly pixelated picture of me, but then you're going to get a good scratching.
Yeah. And that's the least I can do. Yeah, get back to Manchester.
Brave lads, come down and try and reveal this. I'll tell you what, as we know, military are probably involved by now, aren't they? Who knows what kind of applications they're trying to make
on whose side, though? Could it?
No.
Is there a secret war?
Well,
that we're not being told about?
Cornish World Order, if if you still believe there are nation states, Chris.
Yeah, well,
you're
I mean,
sheeple.
I've got to say, if there is a secret war, then I'm glad the Conservatives are in charge because
United Nations as run by the
new
Cornish.
Labour, new danger. If you want an owl as a neighbour, vote Labour. That was what they used to say, wasn't it?
Oh my God!
People just laugh it off. Different times. Not really.
Yeah.
Basic humanity.
He's been doing a lot of fucking heavy lifting.
So Neil, are you? Is that the owl news up to date? Are we go? Shall we score it?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I think you've got two possibilities here. I'd say, Chris. You've got this. The whole thing is just a hoax.
Yeah, it's on a random island somewhere,
and the only known bits of evidence were basically
apart from a video.
This person, we'll never know if that's true because he's now gone to Ireland, and obviously there's no extradition treaties with Dublin.
No, famously.
You just can't. Yeah, famously.
That's why.
Go there for a pint of Guinness and kiss the blarney stone.
Yeah, we can't be extradited from Ireland. That's why there's so many ex members of the Cali cartel living in and around Dundalk, I believe. Massive mansions.
So we can't track down.
No, he's off. He's off. If he's moved to Ireland, he's basically off the grid. It's a huge country.
You get lost. You get lost in there, and there's no. I will look for this picture.
Most of it hasn't been mapped.
We could do a whole thing just about this guy. Actually, he's had quite an interesting life. But yeah, basically, so that's one possibility. He made it all up, and it was just a bit of a laugh, a bit of performance art from him. Or what's come out as a far more compelling bit of evidence for me,
Cornish,
the overwhelming evidence
Cornish World Order.
Cornish World Order,
CWO.
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it.
Too late now. I mean, the only thing which I'm going to do is perhaps move somewhere.
Much like global warming, we've ignored the signs that were there all along for too long. And, it's all just the tipping points have already been activated.
I mean, the only thing I maybe get off the grid in Montana or possibly Ireland and just build.
I mean, that's the only thing we can hope now is that actually they are a force.
Well, I mean, look at the state of the world, Neil.
Some sort of Gaia nature worshipping.
Look at the state of the world.
That's true.
They're just look at the signs all around you. So I think the only thing to do really is to stockpile as much food as you can, get an arsenal of weapons, and go off grid. And if you see a Hummer pull up near your house or your homestead with people with CWO written on their chest, just start shooting. I think that's the only sensible solution.
I'm just going to try and
get in with them.
I should become a quisling and I'm just going to try and get in with them. Obviously, that's my move, as you know.
What is your move?
So I'm going to learn Cornish. Start buying even more pasties than I do already, which is a substantial quantity.
3 meals a day.
Yeah. I think, and obviously a lot more. I've not been eating enough scones, I'll be honest with you. So, and clotted cream's quite delicious. So there's a lot of upsides actually to this. They're just going to try and placate our Cornish masters.
You for one welcome them, our Cornish overlords.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, it looks like we'll probably be.
It's like Pascal's wager. It might not be true, but what have I got to lose by not trying? Just eating more pasties and cream teas. Yeah, that's a bet I'm willing to lose, Chris. It's fine. No downside. It's a smart money.
You could potentially be losing.
And if I'm right,
you could potentially be losing years off your life by switching to an all Cornish diet.
That ship sailed.
Owlman's lunches. That's quite Cornish, isn't it?
No, that was made up by the cheese board in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds Cornish.
That traditional. Does anyone have Plowman's lunches anymore?
No, I don't. But I never did anyway.
Not seen it since the 90s.
What's that? They
it's quite nice. Bit of mediocre cheddar and.
Is it in Cornwall where they eat garden snails or something like that? There's a fake. They call it something weird.
Don't know.
Yeah, there's an area where they get snails from the dry stone walling, and it's somewhere in the West Country, and they're like a local delicacy.
Yeah, it could well be. I must confess, I wouldn't want to prepare one. There's a whole thing, they call it desliming. I forget what the French word is, but that's not something I particularly want to do. But I've eaten snails before. Although I will go back to the point that if you fry anything in enough garlic and butter, it's going to taste nice.
It's in Somerset, I think, more so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they call them something weird. Oh, Mendip wallfish.
Oh, that very, very vaguely rings a bell.
Yeah, wallfish. Yeah, Mendip wallfish. How European. So, Neil, today I have just had delivered to me a Magic 8-ball, but I had it custom made. Don't worry about the costs. I'll take it out of the company funds.
That's fine.
But
Plenty in there.
it was very expensive. And very simply,
We'll do a Kickstarter if it starts running down too much.
Yeah, absolutely. If it gets below six figures. I've just had numbers put on the sides of the pyramids, the three-sided pyramids inside it, and I'll be using that today.
That's appropriate for...
spooky, isn't it?
Are you standing on that ley line near your flat?
I believe so. I believe it could be a ley line that I'm on. I'm either on one or I'm ley line adjacent.
Yeah.
So
you're channeling some energy.
So there isn't too much power.
Get out your PKE meter and just take a quick reading.
Okay.
Is it a 7 or above?
It is a 5. But that's not too bad.
Okay, so just adjust for the
what I would
slightly lower than normal electromagnetic energy.
Well,
I mean that's good in a way because it shows you're not being haunted by any apparitions.
Yeah, normally that's because of all the.
There's definite energy there.
To be fair, that's because of all the wards that I've written above all my windows and doors. You multiply by 1.25 at that point in that case. Absolutely.
That's fine.
And I was looking. This house was built in the... It's always weird when you look at kind of British houses, because often, like this one, it was built in 1860s. So there's probably quite a lot of people died here, you'd hope. Fortunately, not me yet, unless I'm not aware of it. Okay, so Neil, I'll let you go first on the Owlman of wherever he is. Spookiness.
So, I mean, the video evidence, that's kind of like a little bit spooky. We've seen some people get scratched up. Honestly, it doesn't look like anything much worse than you get in a pub car park, to be honest with you.
Speaking for yourself.
What else can I do? I don't know. It's he's had much of a reign of terror, has he?
No, he's
frightened a couple of 14-year-olds and he's scratched a mancunian. As far as I can
who hasn't?
About the size of we've all been there, and that's what I call a Friday night. But not really. But So the idea of an Owlman is inherently terrifying to me.
I like owls.
And it's not sort of said like he collects your souls. He might be friendly. He might just be a bit shy. We're not saying, we're not. And the thing is, if you get near to a wild animal, of course it's going to scratch you.
Yeah, unless you know it.
Well, exactly. Well, but if it's a wild animal, then you're not going to know. You've got to leave it alone. So you don't try and sort of like interfere with wildlife, or you're going to come a cropper. That's just to keep a respectful distance, observe and enjoy in that way. So no, I don't think he's. I think he's like our pig man. I think he's probably
misunderstood
fella, and they've just misunderstood. Just wants to take over the world through understands the value of Cornish supremacy, and it's just the figurehead and fountain of their source of power over the rest of us. So no, not that spooky, but although maybe the mythology that I've made up for him that adds in a little bit to the fact that he's taken over the world through Cornish supremacists. So I'll split the diff and give him a 5.
5, okie dokie.
Don't know why I'm calling it. Hey, don't know what that's all about.
That's just you're part of the patriarchy now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So spookiness.
Be a she.
He's not been seen that much, and like you, I would quite like to meet someone who was. I mean, I guess it depends on the level of intelligence. Like if he's as intelligent as an owl, but is the size of a human, then you're not going to get, you're not going to get much conversation. But if it's a bit brighter, and you could maybe come up with your own language, a sign language that you could communicate with each other
those
with.
glowing eye sockets are taking up a lot of the brain space, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Probably not got a lot of cranial capacity.
No.
See very well, though.
See very well. Can move his head all the way round. That's good.
Can spot a Mancunian cameraman from 1,000 yards.
But yeah, I don't find him spooky. I do find it spooky that the world leaders worship a version of him. I find the fact that I've been basically sleepwalking into a situation where the Cornish World Order have taken over most of our, if not all our institutions and media. I've not felt it on the ground yet, but I assume that's only round the corner when I walk into a supermarket and all I can find is pasties and scones and clotted cream.
They'll call it Brexit shortages. That'll be the
excuse. Exactly the excuse. And maybe Mendip. Maybe they'll give us some Mendip wallfish.
Wallfish. You can only hope.
So I think on that basis, I'm going to give it a 6 for spookiness. So, believability. I think I'd really like to hear what the magician guy who's currently hidden in the Ecuadorian embassy over in Dublin has to say about it, but we're not going to be able to speak to him, unfortunately. There's no real backstory to him. So, is he military experiment? Is he a pagan god? Don't know. I think the lack of detail is going to give me a lower believability, so I'm going to give that a 3. No, I'm giving it a 2. Sorry, I'm going even lower. 2.
Fair enough. I mean, the lack of background evidence is something, as you know, that sort of, it's compelling, and it's sort of because if it was just sort of like something against something, it's probably not going to come with a neat backstory, is it? Life isn't a neat narrative. So
mine is.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, well, I'm torn on this. Could be a hoax, could be the Cornish New World Order. Can't, gonna have to split the diff and say 5 again.
5 again. Okay.
But as I say, Pascal's wager, I'm going all in on the latter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just in case.
So Neil, reach.
Well, I mean, again, here we hit into an interesting wrinkle, because you'd think, well, it's not even particularly big in Cornwall anymore. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, they've got so much of this.
They've all been replaced by second homers, so villages are empty.
Second homers, or members of Secret Service.
Yeah, exactly. Or in fact, is it very widespread, known by the right people?
Yep.
So I mean, they say it's been around since the 20s, but I see no evidence of anything. Everything that seems to date back to this thing in the 70s. Now, I think that the reason why this guy's had to sort of run off to Ireland is because he exposed Big Al.
Yeah.
They tried to, it got out a bit. They contained it.
Yeah.
You'll see the odd leak, like our brave cameraman from Manchester who they've exposed some of it. They've put the date, but it gets clamped on, gets laughed out, and people just, believe what they're told, don't they?
Of course they do.
So,
Idiots.
So, again, it's a 50-50 situation. Either it's not got a lot of reach because it's frankly absurd and it's just made up in the 70s, or it's an insidious, all-encompassing plot, which has got its hooks into every aspect of society as we know it. So, again, going to have to split the diff, go for 5.
Another 5.
Just playing it straight down the middle here, sit on the fence.
You really are, aren't you?
Don't know.
So Reach, yes, I've never heard of it. There hasn't been that many reports. I mean, I take Reach as in how many people would have heard of it. So that can be either through longevity or through film or through just breadth of area where it's known. I mean, by whether it's because it's a silly story made up by someone in a very small, localized way, or whether by design it's something which hasn't got out very far, the reach is still small. So I'm going to give it a reach of 2. And that brings me on to narrative/premise. Premise. Love the Owlman. All about him. He's great. But not original human-animal hybrids or a big animal. There is no real narrative. There's an Owlman in a church over there, maybe. The narrative, which Neil definitely hasn't made up, is good. But I still think there's not much to it. And unfortunately, I'm gonna give that, and it's only this high because I'd love to meet an Owlman. I'm giving it a 3. Neil,
Scoring. I was going to say, in terms of reach, I will point out to you that the 2012 play "Horse Piss for Blood" features the Owlman as a key plot point.
right?
So
Well,
there's that to consider. But
it doesn't change my score.
No, that's fair enough. Okay, so where are we on now? Believability?
Narrative reach.
Narrative, excuse me. Narrative. Again, this is one I didn't think there was much of a narrative thing here. It's you'll turn it into a film or a play called Horse Piss for Blood or whatever it was.
Lovely.
Because there's not really much to say. It's just an animal-human hybrid. And you're going to end up with a disappointing movie like the Mothman prophecies. But
God, you're obsessed with that today.
I am, yeah. It's I don't know. Well, the Owlman made me think of the Mothman. Maybe we'll get to him one day.
Maybe.
It's largely the same thing, basically. Glowy eyes and wings. There's not. See, I suppose I'm going to have to score this one quite lowly because although I've made up a whole thing of it myself, it's all just symptomatic again of the cover-up, presumably. But there's not a lot to go on here. It's just a spooky thing in a graveyard. It's not really done much. Although, I'm not going to completely give it a low score because that those human-animal hybrids, they're always kind of like they seem to entice people's imagination.
Yeah.
Hence, you've got people still filming things in the year of our Lord 2019, looking for evidence. So there's something that's compelling there. So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
4.5, bringing in the half marks. So overall,
You got all 4?
yes, we have. Yeah. Are you disappointed? 77721. So overall, it's got a 32.5. So quite low score,
Wow.
I believe. That's a fact. I think that's
Symptomatic of a cover-up. Are we being paid off? That's what I've got to ask myself.
Well, you'll never look at me the same again, will you? So what I would say is if you happen to be in a graveyard at night and you see some Mancunians putting fake blood on their arms and filming it on a early noughties camera phone. Try not to have nightmares.
I think that's just wise advice in any situation.
Oh, very quickly before I goodbye you, just to let you know,
Not too late, you already did.
if you want to send us any of your theories or potential urban legends or any nonsense, then our email address is urb.legends.pod@gmail.com. And that is really goodbye.
You've got some evidence.
Yeah. See you later.